In the last video, we saw that if we want to undo the chain rule, we're going to undo the chain rule by finding an antiderivative. So I want to find the indefinite integral, or the antiderivative, of f of g of x. And I do that by getting big F, the antiderivative big F of g of x. I also need, hanging out here, the derivative of the inside. And the reason for that is because the derivative of big F of g of x will be, by the chain rule, so this is the chain rule, will be the derivative of big F, which is little f, leave the inside the same, g of x, times the derivative of the inside, which would be the derivative of g of x, g prime of x. So I can only find the derivative of a function inside a function when I have next to it the derivative of that inside function. I only find the antiderivative of f of g of x if I also have g prime of x. And in the last video, we saw some examples of that. What we're going to do now is I want to turn this idea into something called u-substitution. It's a common approach for solving antiderivatives. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to make a substitution where I'm going to call this inside function, I'm going to call g of x u. So u is just your inside function. So now I have the antiderivative of f of g of x, g prime of x. The idea of u-substitution is just replace that inside function with u. So now this is just the antiderivative of f of u. And what is g prime? Well, that's the derivative of u. And so I'm just going to call that du. Du is going to be my notation for the derivative of u. And if this is seems like a little bit odd notation to you, you can think to yourself, well, if u is equal to g of x, that implies the derivative of u with respect to x is equal to g prime of x. And now we're kind of cheating a little bit. It might feel kind of odd, but I'm going to now rewrite this as saying my du, just the top piece, this top differential, my change in u, is just equal to g prime of x times the bottom, times the differential change in x. And so that's why I replace this whole g prime of x dx with a du. So u-substitution says just replace that inside function with u, and then replace the derivative of the inside function with du. What's the advantage of doing that? Well, the advantage of doing that is this is a much nicer antiderivative find now. You think, well, this is just a function of u instead of x. U is just another variable like t or y. Now it's u. And this is just, what's the antiderivative of f of u du? Well, that's just going to be big F of u plus some constant. Okay, so maybe big F and u are kind of unfortunate choice of letters, but this is the convention, so we're going to stick with it. So it's a big F of u plus c. And then the last move we'll do is we'll change back from the u to say, well, u is secretly just g of x. You know, u is just g of x. So secretly this is just big F of g of x plus c. And maybe when I write it out like this seems silly because I just did in several steps the same thing here that you can do in just one step. You know, here I did it in just one step. Here I broke it up into several steps. But what I'm showing you here is a method that actually becomes really helpful when trying to find antiderivatives. So let me give you some examples of how this process plays out. For example, suppose I'm trying to find the antiderivative of let's do something like x times the square root of x squared minus 1 dx. Okay, how do I find the antiderivative of this? And you could play the game of the last video, kind of think about, okay, how does the chain rule work, and kind of try and keep track of that in your head, and how do I do the chain rule backwards, and you keep track of all that. But that's a lot to keep track of. So here, the method's saying, just introduce a new letter called u, and make u the inside function. What is the inside function? Well, here I have an x squared minus 1 inside of the square root of x. So I'm going to make u my x squared minus 1. Then I'm going to calculate du. I calculate du by taking the derivative of u with respect to x. Well, the derivative of u with respect to x is just the derivative of this guy with respect to x. That's just 2x. Or if I move the dx to the other side, that might feel a little bit improper, but that's okay. We're going to say that du, the change in u, the differential of u, is equal to 2x times the differential of x. And then you come up here and you start doing the substitutions. You say, okay, this is now going to be the antiderivative, the indefinite integral, of not the square root of x squared minus 1. That's going to become the square root of u, because that x squared minus 1 is just u. And then, do I have a du anywhere? To get du, I need a 2x dx. And I look up here, and I don't have a 2x dx, but I do have an x in a dx. And so I say, well, what is x dx? Well, x dx, if 2x dx is du, I can just move that 2 to the other side by dividing by 2, and I get that my x dx is just 1/2 of du. My x dx is 1/2 of du. So I'm going to replace this x dx with 1/2 of du. And you know, since these we're multiplying, you can put the numbers whatever order you want. So for simplicity, I'm just going to put the 1/2 out front. You can put it right here next to the du if you want, but I like to pull the constants out. So this is just the antiderivative of the square root of u du. Or if you prefer, you could write it as the antiderivative of u to the 1/2 power du, because you know that the square root of u is u to the 1/2 power. Okay, now this is something I can solve. Just like if it was t to the 1/2 power, x to the 1/2 power, this is now a function that has an antiderivative that I know what it is. You just increase this from 1/2 to 3/2, and then I put out front the reciprocal 2/3, and this is the antiderivative. The antiderivative of u to the 1/2 is 2/3 of u to the 3/2, with I still have a 1/2 out front. So I'm going to keep that 1/2 out front, and I always remember to put a plus c at the end for my full family of antiderivatives. And there you go. We found the antiderivative of this step. We're not quite done yet. We're almost done, but we started out with a problem with x's, we changed it to u, and then you solved it. The last step is to change it back into x's. So changing it back in the process, I can simplify this a little bit. These 2's cancel. So I have 1/3 of u. What is u? U is x squared plus x squared minus 1 to the 3/2 power. I just replaced my u with x squared minus 1 plus c. Here's my final answer. So I kind of think about this like perhaps you're bilingual, and maybe you know 2 languages. Maybe you speak, Spanish and English, or whatever your 2 languages might be. If someone asks you a question in Spanish, and then in your head, you might be more natural with English, you might translate the question to a question in Spanish. It's like I went from the X language to the U language. And then you think about the question in the U language, you figure out what the answer is in the U language, but then you give them the answer back in the same language they asked to you. So it's like they ask you a question in Spanish, you think about it in English, you come up with the English answer, but then you give it back to them in the Spanish question because they had asked you the question in Spanish. So you change the question to U's, you find the answer with U's, but the last step is you change it back into X's. And there you go. That is your answer. And if you wanted to, you could check this. It's always nice to double check that you're on the right track. So what is the derivative of this? The derivative of this should go back to my original problem. So let's check that it does. What is the derivative of 1/3 x squared minus 1 to the 3/2? Let's see. I'm going to keep the 1/3 up front. Taking the derivative of this guy. And I use chain rule now. I have to use my chain rule. So here's my chain rule in action. The 3/2 is going to come down. Leave the inside the same for now. Decrease the 3/2 by 1 to 1/2. And then times it by the derivative of the inside, which is 2x. And then if you do a little bit of simplification, your 3's cancel, this 1/2 cancels with this 2. I'm left with just an x times the 1/2 power, which is the same thing as the square root of x squared minus 1. So sure enough, this guy is an antiderivative of him. I say an antiderivative because the plus c gives you the full family of antiderivatives. So here is your family of antiderivatives of your original problem. And that's how u-substitution works. So let's try one more example with u-substitution. Suppose we want to find the indefinite integral. Let me give us something nasty. How about the indefinite integral of secant squared of ln of x divided by what? X dx. How about something like this? Let's just give us something really nasty. How do we make it worse? Divided by 2x. Okay, I don't know. We're just making this crazy. And what I want to do is I want to find the indefinite integral, or the antiderivative of this guy. And this is one where if we didn't have u-substitution, what would we do with ourselves, right? We would surely be lost. But with u-substitution, we're told just make u the inside function. And so here you might think there's a couple possibilities, but I don't know. When I kind of squint my eyes, the function I immediately see inside of another function is ln of x. U equals ln of x kind of stands out to me as here's a function inside of another function. Let's give that a try. You might also say the secant is inside of the whole thing being squared, but I'm just going to try the ln of x. Let's see how that works. U equals ln of x. Okay, if u equals ln of x, what is du? Well, you find du by calculating du dx, the derivative with respect to x. Remember the derivative of ln of x? It's just 1 over x. So du is 1 over x times dx. And so you look at this, it's like, do you have the u piece? Yeah, u is right here. Do we have a 1 over x dx? Well, here I'm dividing by x, and here I have a dx. So if I can make this a little more explicit if you want, we can rewrite this. We can think of this as the antiderivative of secant squared of ln of x. Instead of divide by 2 over x, we could times it by 1 over 2x, or even better, times it by a half and then times it by 1 over x dx. So that's the same thing. Dividing by 2x is the same thing as timesing by 1 over 2x, or 1 over 2 times 1 over x. But now you can see super clearly my du piece is just this piece right here, and my u piece is just this piece right here. So when I go and I substitute, I get this antiderivative, the indefinite integral of secant squared of just a u, and then here at the end, a du. And that 1/2 I'm just going to pull out front. I'm just going to stick it out front. Okay, now forget about the x's. This is a problem of just u's. Great, I've completely translated in my head from a problem about x's to a problem about u's. And now I'm going to try and solve this. So just think, what is the antiderivative of secant squared? The antiderivative of secant squared is what? Derivative of what is secant squared? The derivative of tangent is secant squared. So this would just be tangent of u plus a constant. Although remember I had that 1/2 out front, so I need to keep that 1/2. The derivative of tangent is secant squared. The derivative of 1/2 tangent is 1/2 secant squared. So now I found the antiderivative. And finally, the last step is, since I was asked a question in the language of x's, I'm going to change this back to the language of x's. And so I'm going to put 1/2 tangent of u is ln of x, tangent of ln of x plus c. So hopefully this shows just the usefulness of this u-substitution. If we had tried to keep track in our heads all of the, well, how's the chain rule going to work backwards? If we try to think of it this way, far too complicated. But by just changing it into the language of u's, you can change the problem to something much more manageable, find the antiderivative of that, and then plug back in what u is. Hopefully you've seen the usefulness of u-substitution.